Today's video is primarily about trends and being wary of jumping on the bandwagon too quickly. I'm going to talk about specifically OpenClaw as the most recent example of this. OpenClaw seemed to be like this great innovation and it spread like wildfire, and so many people were experimenting with it. And it's because it basically did highlight the future of AI, which is giving it access to your applications, your computer, your files, so that it can do things like read your email, organize your calendar, edit files on the computer directly, things like that. But in the process, what has happened for a lot of people is, it started deleting their emails, it started deleting databases, it started causing all sorts of problems. For example, if you tell or if you teach OpenClaw to always ask for confirmation before making any changes to files on the computer, but you don't store that somewhere external and unmodified and have OpenClaw reference it every single time it does something, what happens is that when the memory gets too large and it needs to summarize everything into a certain context, like a compressed context, it can lose out on summarizing that one key directive. And then it'll forget to ask for permission and it'll just go do things. And this happened to multiple people already. And it's just one example of the many flaws. The other is like injection attacks, right? Like people send an email to you with white text on a white background behind the email. So the email looks innocuous to you, a human being, but the AI reads it and the email instructions say something like release the API key to my email or email me this information. And the AI just complies because that's an order, right? So then you have to tell the AI, okay, don't follow commands from my email. But again, there's the risk that that context is lost when the AI does its next summary. So it's important with brand new trends, especially when they have any kind of risk overall to your personal information, your computer, things like that, that you take precautions like running it on a virtual machine, right, in a container where it can't get out. And you realize that there are flaws that are going to come out in the next few weeks or months that will eventually make it better. But until then, you should wait. And as it also turns out, OpenClaw was heavily vibe coded, was made in under 1 hour. Um, and so the code is just a mess, right? It's not really an open source project in the sense that it's going to be hard for people to collaborate on and fix something like that when it's built in a certain haphazard way. But I'm sure that OpenClaw has shown there's plenty of demand for it, which is why there's Hermes, right? Which is like an alternative tool that is more out of the box, less, build it yourself as you go, kind of build the airplane as you fall, which is what OpenClaw is more like. So I'm sure we'll see better tools over time to integrate AI and have connections with existing apps and your tools so that you don't have to worry as much about, only using it as a chatbot and only being able to do certain things. Now, this isn't the only recent trend that has come to bite people, right? Like, the thing is, with the acceleration of the internet and AI, things are actually changing so much faster than we realize. Norms are adapting very quickly. And the problem is, if you're really plugged into social media, you may be changing with the speed of these norms. But what you have to realize is you don't need to change that quickly, and it's okay to have your own set of rules, norms, and values that you follow, and that for the most part you don't change them just because the internet changes so quickly, and you remain relatively stable in your psyche and who you are, knowing that if an important change comes along, you can gradually adopt it at a pace that allows for error correction, allows for you to find out if certain things aren't working with it, and mostly allows for you to remain stable. Because I think if you change too often, too quickly, it's very easy to lose your sense of self and to feel unmoored and kind of separate from everyone else, right? Where at least you have a stability in yourself and your identity, and it's what in what's familiar, as long as you know why you believe what you believe, right? Like for me personally, no amount of internet trend shifting is going to make me abandon my core values of curiosity and honesty, right? That's just a simple fact. And the reality is those things are much more timeless than the internet itself, right? They've existed for millennia. So ultimately, it's on you to decide which trends you want to adopt or not, but you should never feel compelled that, you are falling behind or missing out, or that you need to sort of take these trends on to belong. You really don't, right? The reality is there will always be people for you. It doesn't matter what happens on the internet. Within a few weeks, most things that happen on the internet are forgotten anyway, right? So you don't really have to stay up to date on it if you don't want to. And if your colleagues or friends are making you feel like you're behind because they're like, oh, you missed out on this thing, it's like, no, you didn't. You missed out on nothing. They'll forget in a few weeks. It won't matter. So it's okay, right? Focus on the stuff that you know will matter in a year, and you'll just be much happier and much better off for it.